I also learned that to prosper in life, you have to accept prosperity as your birthright. To be a prosperous person who succeeds in their endeavors, you have to accept prosperity as your birthright. And having grown up in the township, I know that in those kind of places, you are surrounded by a lot of struggle, a lot of strife, a lot of poverty. And so often you then are convinced or get convinced by society and others telling you that basically all that you see around you is your lot. You are destined to have the same life. And that is something that I rejected. You don't have to accept that. You don't have to accept poverty, struggle, and strife as your lot. You don't have to accept that because you were born into, circumstances where poverty was rife, where there was a lot of struggle, that is your ultimate destiny, just because other people are living in that destiny. Yes, it's good to accept your environment, but then again, also learn from them. And I can actually remember the exact moment when I rejected the circumstances around me. I was 14 years old, and I remember it was just one afternoon after school and walking along with my friends and just listening to some of the discussions that were going on around me. And what I was seeing, and it was a group of girls, and they were discussing. I mean, we were only 14, but there were already discussions around, somebody else in the neighborhood who was 16 and had dropped out of school, and that person was already engaged, and there was an expectation for her to get married at that age. And I just found myself thinking, I'm like, but why? Like, we are 14, you know, why should we be at this age looking forward to getting married and settling down and having babies when we are still babies ourselves? So it was that moment when I realized I could not see myself in that environment. And I then decided to do some research, and I actually petitioned my parents to take me out of that school, because I told them, I said, look, you know, I'm thankful for what they've done and gotten me into that school, but I made it clear to them respectfully, you know how it is when you are talking to your parents, that I didn't think that it was the type of environment that I was going to be able to thrive in or reach my goals. And I'd actually given them a list of 5 schools that I'd already researched. I took newspaper clippings of adverts of certain schools that I'd seen, and I told them, look, here's where I want to go for, the dreams that I have in my heart. And this is not going to happen here, because I can already hear from the conversations that are around me that if I'm not a person of strong mind, and even people who are of strong minds, bad company eventually corrupts good character. So I was very clear that it was not a place that I was going to be able to survive, or where my dreams were going to survive, because there was just too much in terms of the external forces that could potentially derail my plans. So I didn't go to those particular schools because it was still, transition phase, just after, apartheid had been abolished, not quite yet, a free country. It was, I remember it's the early 90s. And After that, I was able to attend another school. Previously I was in a public school, um, and I got sent to a private school that my parents could afford, which was quite far from home. But I think then when I got to that school, what I was exposed to is the level of thinking around success being a birthright, success being normal, you know, and just being in a space where I could see black and brown people prospering without like a second thought. There was nothing that said, I can't do this. It was about, yes, you can. And reflecting back, I think the only thing that could have created that internal shift for even that to be something that happened to me is the fact that in my mind, mentally, I rejected what I was seeing around me, what I was being told that was all I could be as a fact. I rejected that. So it's important that when you have already, set out your dream, set out your vision, to be clear that your vision and your dreams are going to prosper and accept that they are going to prosper. Because if you don't, that's when you are going to be in spaces of doubt. You're going to allow people, to derail your plans, or the environment is just going to get to you, which it often does in townships. I've grown up there. I know it. That, when you stay in certain environments too long, then you become part of those environments. Okay? So accept that you can prosper. Accept it as your birthright. Because that mental acceptance is what's going to initiate the actions that you're going to need to take to make your specific dreams come true, to make manifest the things that you want to be, that you want to have, and that you want to do in your life. You don't have to accept poverty as your lot. You don't have to accept um, struggle, strive. That's what we are told, yes, but you don't have to accept it.